Welcome to the Connected Health Podcast. I'm here with Dr. Anthony Krohn. He's a chiropractor here in the Nashville, Franklin area. He also works as a functional medicine doctor. One of the things that I love about him is that he takes a truly holistic approach to health and integrates chiropractic care, functional medicine, muscle testing, emotional healing, and faith to address the root causes of chronic stress, burnout, depression, and disconnection in men. Welcome, Dr. Tony.
Thanks for having me. Very long-winded bio. Pretty much to sum it up, I want to help men not have to be shuffled around the healthcare system. They go to one doctor for one thing, another doctor for the other thing. I want to be like a one-stop shop, obviously within my scope of practice, but I don't want to miss things that other providers miss. And that's usually why men, women come and see me, is because there's just something missing in the care they're receiving. And a lot of times it does come down to that emotional and spiritual component, that faith-based component. So here we are.
Thank you. Thank you for filling in a niche that most people don't even know is missing.
It's rewarding, but also I would say before that, it's tough because men, we think we're okay. We don't think we need the help. We think our bodies are functioning just fine, when in reality, our definition of fine is not even like normal. Doesn't even come close to normal. And so while I like working with men, it's tough because, like I just said, men don't want to be helped, but also men are in a way like forgotten about. Whether that's just like the ease of treating the female, because usually the women take care of the health, they take care of the kids. And if the mom, if the girlfriend, wife, whatever it is prioritizing her health, then she can show up for the family. And so I'm bringing the husband needs to meet her in that same place of healing so they can have that like blend of a marriage to take care of not only their relationship, their health, but their kids, if they have kids as well.
That's really important. Yeah. In your view, what are the top 3 key concerns that you see coming up for the men that you see in your practice?
Yeah. So one of them for sure is the low energy piece. Men are reliant on caffeine, whether it's the Rockstar energy drinks or coffee. They're always having some sort of drink in their hand that's not water. And so they're just adding that fuel to the fire, whether it's their adrenals that are absolutely shot, or their gut is a mess, or they have like low hormone status. And so that low energy piece is an easy window into helping guys start to feel normal again so they don't have to rely on those. And we're seeing the rise of TRT clinics, peptides right now, because it's the easy fix for a solution that actually has a much more like in-depth and tailored look that we need to address. Not to say that you shouldn't do TRT or you shouldn't be utilizing peptides, but they're almost using that because they don't want to do the hard stuff, the stuff that they have to do daily. They're looking for that quick fix, which they're getting better energy from it, but they're not treating the downstream effects that are leading to that low energy in the first place. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I see. The next one is probably just like lack of connection, isolation. They don't know how to regulate their emotions. Typical man, we're told to repress our emotions. So we're not told to have like normal emotional outlets. And this isn't like a cry and like tell each other your feelings and like this almost like a teeter-totter. We don't want to go too far to one end to where emotionally we're just a wreck, because one, that's not attractive to females. And two, we are supposed to be masculine in nature, and we're supposed to be that, like I said earlier, that head of the household. We're supposed to have like a deeper connection and responsibility, but that also comes with not holding on to those emotions, whether you had a traumatic childhood or you went through a breakup. There's different instances where guys need to take ownership of how and what they're feeling and find a healthy outlet to work through those emotions. whether it's therapy, breath work, prayer, journaling, you name it. So we have the low energy, we have that lack of connection, isolation, and emotional suppression. And then last one, which you probably see as well, is just guys' guts are a wreck. They think that eating fast food, they think that drinking the energy drinks, they think that lack of sleep, all these things that are playing into how we digest our food and all the downstream effects from that. They think that constipation is normal, or if they're going to the bathroom multiple times a day, or if they're sitting on the toilet for 15 minutes, they think all of this stuff is normal, when in reality, it's not even close to normal. It's just common. And so having a look into the gut not only will affect the energy component, but it will also affect hormones. It'll affect mental health. It'll affect your skin. A lot of people who go in the TRT or are taking steroids or are eating a terrible diet, which is messing up their guts, you'll see it reflected in the skin. So I would say those three are probably pretty broad. Any guy listening to this, they probably have one of those three, if not all three of them going on right now. But it leaves the door open for guys to realize that maybe these little symptoms, these little alarms that are going off are actually a signal to something that they need to work on.
That is also something that I say to my clients, that symptoms are signals. And even those three things that you just listed, they're all somehow tied to the next thing. They're all connected in some way. Like if somebody's low energy, that's partially because their gut is not working properly and they're not digesting their nutrients. So they're not going to have the oomph it takes to get through each and every day. And that also lowers their mood. If their gut's not working, they're going to have lower neurotransmitters. It's all connected.
Totally. And even along those points, like nutrient need, our soil today is so depleted of nutrients, of micronutrients, of minerals that we used to have in abundance 20, 30 plus years ago. And so eating your typical standard American diet, or even more on the healthier side, you're still missing some of those key nutrients that you said regulate mood, gut health, and everything downstream from that. And so while eating a healthy diet and having proper nutrition is a huge step for guys to even start, they're still missing some of those key nutrients that we once normally were getting, but we're not getting now. And so having these conversations that, yeah, you need to up your protein intake, you need more fiber, maybe eat more fruits and veggies. So then if we do need to go down the supplementation route, the herbal route, we're complementing what you're already doing.
I like that. You take a food approach first before supplementing.
That's
Love
like
it.
one of my biggest gripes about functional medicine is people come in with bags full of supplements, looking at me like, okay, what do I take? What do we need? What do we don't need? I'm somewhere in less is more. Let's figure out what we can do with what's on your plate first, what you're drinking, your emotional stress, how your body's digesting, are you working out? And then we'll layer in these herbs, these supplements based on what I think not only is going to help improve them, but also just like clinical experience of, okay, they come in with SIBO, maybe we need to throw them on XYZ. Or if they come in with really bad gas, throw them on XYZ, but it does start with what's on our plate. And then also what we're doing outside of that, like I just mentioned.
1000%. Yeah, people don't need to be on 15 different supplements at one time. That's
Nope.
ridiculous.
Yep.
Especially if your gut's not absorbing stuff well anyway, most of that's
Exactly.
coming out on the other end, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. We don't know truly how everything interacts with each other. If your gut's a mess, like you said, we're not absorbing those nutrients. And so we're just having some expensive urine, expensive feces, and
That's right.
we're just throwing more and more money down the drain, which is the like barrier of entry with functional medicine. And I'm trying to decrease as many of those barriers as possible because I want people truly to feel better And that starts with mastering the basics first and then going into what else do they need to add in to complement their health.
Love that. Great. In your opinion, what are 3 to 5 action steps that men can take towards better health?
Yeah, so I've already named a few, and we can hit these as long as we want. And guys and females just have to really take inventory of one, what do they need to do, but are they actually willing to do these things to get better? Because we can talk to them and give them the perfect meal plan or recommend them to see someone like a dietitian who can give them a more tailored approach. Or we can recommend, hey, you need to strength train. But if they're not willing to do that, then we're just like talking at a brick wall. But as far as 3 to 5 super simple action steps that people should be doing now, and if they're not, they can easily implement right away. And number one is sleep. That's probably one of the best things that you can do for your health. Because when we're sleeping, we have memory consolidation, we have growth hormone release, we have muscle repair. So many benefits of sleep that a lot of people take for granted. And they think that 5 to 6 hours of sleep are enough, when in reality, we need that 7 to 8 hours plus. And it depends age and gender and different other circumstances. But sleep, if we're staying up late scrolling on the phone, or if we're exposed to blue light late at night, or if our rooms aren't black, or if it's too hot, like all these things play into how well we can sleep. And if we're not sleeping well, again, back to that energy piece. People are waking up tired, they're going straight to coffee or that energy drink, and it's just this endless cycle. So if we can master sleep, that's going to be number one. Moving your body. I think resistance training, strength training is the best form or way to move your body. There's tons of studies on longevity with just like muscle growth and fall risk. And we can talk more about that. But the strength training piece, muscle is one of the biggest predictors of longevity. And so strength training, but if it's not strength training, find some other way to move your body. If it's walking, cycling, swimming, you just got to find something that you enjoy and do that every day. And I think the more you can add variety to that, I think the better, rather than just being a runner or only walking every day or only strength training. I think we need to add some variety there. And it can be simple as finding things around your house or apartment. You don't have to go out and pay $200-$300 on these gym memberships unless if you have the resources. People add that barrier in. They say, oh, going to the gym is too expensive, or, oh, I don't have time to do that. If your health is important and a priority for you, you're going to find time to do that. So that's 2. 3, I would say we're super deficient in protein. So we want to increase protein intake, and then also fiber. Fiber is great, not only for just aiding in digestion, but colon cancer is on the rise like crazy. Now it could be fiber, it could be toxin exposure. There's a number of things that it can be, but fiber is an easy way to help regulate bowel motility. The 4th one, I would say find community, join a church, join a men's group, join a Bible study. A lot of guys are sitting alone in their apartment or house or wherever they're at, and they're allowing silence and the enemy to come in and have a stronghold over their thoughts. So if they're struggling emotionally, if they're struggling with whatever it is, if they don't have other men to not only share that with, but to walk alongside life and do life together, then that's also a huge miss on the guys piece. Us living in Nashville, this is a hot spot for people to move here. And we see it all the time, not only in church, but just the loneliness epidemic. It definitely catapulted over the past 5 years when we were forced to stay home. Men, women, everyone just needs community, someone to, like I said, do life with. And then we'll round up the 5th one was just lowering the toxin load. We're overexposed to toxins, whether that's plastics in our food and water and hormones in our water, fragrance. I mean, when I grew up, I used Axe body spray and I used cologne and I used toxic laundry detergent. And not to say that you have to go and make all these fixes right here and now, but starting to lower that toxin load and use more natural products that don't have the artificial dyes or these chemicals that can disrupt the gut microbiome or that can alter our neurotransmitter status. Doing these things are going to help in the long run, even if you don't notice the immediate effects right away. And with that toxin load, that goes hand in hand with that testosterone. A lot of these men, even women, they're struggling with their hormone status. And there are more and more studies coming out that toxin exposure is one of the contributors for that lower or altered hormone status. So I'd say those 5. I could probably go on and add like 5 more, but I think that gives us a good overarching way to start implementing at least one of those today, whether it's getting some more sleep tonight or reaching out to a friend or cooking and adding some more protein.
Yeah, those are all really good action steps. And like you said, you don't have to do everything. You can work your way down that list. You can start with what's achievable for you today. And once you get comfortable with that, you can build upon those foundations and those habits, just like I talk about all the time on my podcast.
Yep.
I want to go back to what you were saying about men's emotion and men's mental health. And I mean, I see this in the men around me is that they're silently suffering. And I know that there's something inside of them that wants help and wants connection, but they don't know how to ask for it. They don't know the language. They don't even know what that would look like. And so one of the things that you do is that you do body and emotion code practices. Can you explain what that is for those in the audience who haven't heard of it and how it works?
Yeah. So with body and emotion code, Dr. Brad Nelson, he's a chiropractor. He developed this, I don't know, some decades ago. So what it is, it's a way to just paint a picture of how the body's supposed to function, but looking at a completely different lens than A equals B or if this, then that. It really takes in all these different styles of healing and combines it into one system that can give explanation to various symptoms or various emotions that you may be feeling but can't quite put your finger on. And so with body and emotion code, we can use muscle testing, and we can go into that here in a little bit, to identify what truly is like the underlying reason, the root cause of what they're seeing before. And so is it some sort of pathogen that they're exposed to, if it's fungus, parasites, biofilm? Is it a toxin, whether it's the plastics, or is it the things that they're spraying in the air, or that they're spraying on our food that we also have exposure to? And then this emotional component is, like I talked about earlier, if we don't address or express our emotions in a quote unquote like masculine or healthy way, then they become trapped in the body. So we have our subconscious mind. It's our body's natural operating system that we don't have to think about, that just automatically happens. Like I don't have to sit here and tell myself to take every single breath. That subconscious is reminding my body that we just have to breathe naturally. And that's exhausting if we had to do that all the time. Well, these emotions, they not only show up in the fascia, in the cells, and in the physiology, but they're stored in that subconscious mind. And it's like a protective mechanism, because if you had some sort of trauma, say you witnessed someone get injured, or you name whatever the trauma is, if you were a little kid, one, you don't know how to respond to that. No one teaches you. That's probably the first time you've ever experienced those emotions. Or if it was a parent that was abusive, you've taken on their emotions and your body is pushing them down. So then you don't have those similar reactions or physical symptoms arise again. So it's almost like a protective mechanism that your brain is holding these emotions down so you don't have to constantly deal with them. And so with the emotional side of this emotion body code, we can identify timeframes, specific emotions that have happened in your life, and use that as a way to release those from your body so you're no longer holding on to them. And so how to release, say we find an emotion, like I said, at age 5. We use that as prayer, or we use it as like a journal prompt, and release this emotion so it's one less thing that your body is holding on to. I always explain to my patients that you just have this toxin bucket, and it's not only the toxins that I described, it's emotional trauma, it is lack of sleep, it's poor nutrition, it's not working out. All these things fill this toxin bucket. And if we're overflowing, that's where disease starts to happen. That's where injury, pain, all of these things start to manifest. And if we can lower that toxin threshold, that's going to allow your body to adapt better and to function as God intended, as we were designed to. And so this body and emotion code, it's just a way to identify the root cause of why you're struggling. Or if you don't know what you're struggling with, it can give us an idea of, okay, maybe this is going on in the body. So you have some sort of chronic heel injury. So as a chiropractor, we can address the structure and the function of the heel. We can look up the kinetic chain, if it's calf, if it's foot. But body code goes a step deeper thanks to these different ways of healing. Maybe it's bladder, because the bladder meridian runs through that heel. And so do they have a bladder infection, or do they have emotions trapped in the bladder that's weakening this fascial chain that's causing their plantar fasciitis? That's just like name an example. Yeah, I just went off there. What do I need to dissect further? What questions do you got on that?
Personally, I've been doing a little bit of work on studying quantum energy and how that works in the body. And it's absolutely mind-blowing how we're designed that way. And I picked up one of the 2 books. I think it's the Body Code book that I have on my shelf right now. I haven't started it. But could you explain to the audience how the body is made up of energy, and there's a component of electricity to ourselves, and how that can translate into our body communicating to us about what's deeper underneath the layers?
Totally. Yeah. So at the subatomic level, it's just energy. We have the protons, we have the neutrons. So we have these atoms that are vibrating at a specific frequency. And everything else in this world also has a specific frequency. And so if we are exposed to, whether it's like a negative emotion, our body's going to start to resonate that same frequency as that negative emotion. This one's way out in left field, but we know clothing has a specific frequency. And so if we're wearing polyester, our body starts to adapt to those frequencies of polyester versus like an organic cotton or a wool, which is more healing to the body. And so things like parasites, things like fungus, they also have this energy or this frequency that our body adapts to. And so we use something like muscle testing, so I'll go into that now, as a way to access the brain information. And so with muscle tests, it's just testing resistance of a muscle based off of some sort of stimulus. And so if you say take the strength, and it's not a strength contest, but you want the resistance of the individual that you're working with. And if you press on it and have that stimulus or that frequency of whatever the issue is next to the body, it will signal to the brain that it's matching those frequencies, and your muscle will go weak or it'll stay strong depending on how you question it. And so like you were talking about with this quantum physics, this quantum entanglement, this quantum energy, it's just this way of these particles, these atoms, to communicate with each other, not only in your own body, but with the practitioner or me and you. Like our atoms, our frequency is matching as we're having this conversation. When I work with people virtually, I always explain it. Me and you are face to face on a video chat. How does that even happen? Well, it's the frequency of my computer sending a signal that matches the frequency of your computer. And so we're able to have this face-to-face conversation. And so we're going in and asking the body questions, and the specific question will either hit that frequency or won't, and will cause that change in that muscle tone and go weak or stay strong. Hopefully that was a simple enough explanation. Again, quantum is next level. I don't even pretend to be an expert in it. And that was even a very simple explanation that someone else could explain way better or could go even more into depth with that. But with these frequencies or energies, it's just a way to identify what's the issue in the body and what do we need to do to improve that or to get rid of it so it's no longer filling up that toxin bucket.
Yeah, it's such a cool field that I'm just dipping my toes into myself. And from what I've learned so far, there's this phrase that sticks out to me, and it's the body doesn't lie. So through your energy field, it's communicating what is there and what is not there. I don't understand how it works, but it's amazing.
It's wild too. And until you experience it or have a loved one who experiences it, it's going to be foreign to you. And that's totally fine. Some people are open to, hey, I've been dealing with this for so long, do whatever you need. I just want to feel better, versus someone who's maybe more resistant to it. And so it's just another tool. I was very, we'll say black and white as I was going through chiropractic school. I thought everything was just an adjustment or a medication or a supplement that they needed, but the body is so complicated. And I think God designed us to be so unique that while we can chase after these symptoms or address these concerns, we ultimately just have to give it up to Him and ask Him to reveal or to heal the parts of our body that we're struggling with. We're just giving it all back to Him. If we think about the creation story, God breathed life. And so that's just an energy form. And that's that connection there of the energy and the frequencies. It sounds extremely woo-woo, and some practitioners can make it very woo-woo. But at the end of the day, my healing comes from God, and I give all of this back to God, whether it's prayer or just partnering with Him, rather than things that can take away from His goodness and His authority over the healing. But like you were saying, the body doesn't lie. I'm sure 90% of your listeners are familiar with the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And that's the same thing with the emotional stuff. If we have this trauma that we've had, it brings down our frequency, our vibration, and the body holds on to that until we deal with it again, whether it's through emotion code, through therapy, through lens, neurofeedback. There's all these different tools to address the emotional component of healing. And then it's our responsibility as patients, so speaking as patients, figure out how to deal with that and to make sure future instances where there's emotional reaction that we don't suppress that again.
That's tough these days because people like to suppress their emotions because they're inconvenient and they would rather move on with their busy lives or distract themselves. When in reality, even though you can't see emotions, there is an effect the emotion has on your body, just like there is an effect that, you don't see light waves, you see the result of what light hits, and you don't see the waves coming out of the microwave, but you're not supposed to be next to a microwave because it can damage yourself. And just
Totally.
all of these invisible components of our health, while you can't see them, they have an effect on you, and they're going to make your health worse or make your health better depending on how you use them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have a story of how you did a body code or emotion code session and some patient had a breakthrough?
Yeah. So one of my patients that I'm working with, he has severe hemochromatosis, ferritin in the thousands, which it should be less than 130 to 140, max. And so there's genetic factors that come into play, but there's also iron overload and liver toxicity, liver cirrhosis, anything that can cause storage forms of iron to be increased in the body and cause inflammation and other downstream effects. Well, as I've been working with him, we've been able to, each time that we get labs rerun, his ferritin levels cut in half each time. So now he's down, like we started at around like 7,000 for ferritin. Everyone I've talked to has never seen ferritin that high. Like 1,000 is like what people see commonly, but not 7,000. And so we've been able to take him under 1,000 in a matter of a year, which is huge. But he's doing all the things and he keeps plateauing. And so while he's doing the parasite cleanses, he's taking the proper supplements, he's not eating red meat, he's not using vitamin C as a supplement, he is doing castor oil packs, he's doing coffee, and like he's literally doing everything on paper perfect, but his number is like plateaued at where it is. And so we're starting to have these conversations of, hey, is there anything in your childhood or anything right now that you may notice some like stored anger in the body or some resentment or frustration? Because those three emotions, they have a specific frequency and that resonates with the liver. So knowing hemochromatosis and an effect on the liver, I'm addressing some of the emotional components that 99% of other providers don't even think to or don't even want to touch. And so as we're starting to peel back some of these emotional layers to his healing, we haven't rerun, but he can feel a difference just like how his body feels as we release and we just talk about different parts of his childhood where he's witnessed anger or there was anger that was directed towards him or even anger that shows up now that's undealt with or that he just doesn't want because he knows how that's having a physical effect on its body. And that's so common with guys, you name it, health-wise. If they have other priorities, the emotional aspect usually is the one that is forgotten about. And then when we start to address these emotions, they recognize how important and how big of a component of healing this is. Because the biggest feedback or when I reach out and see how they're processing, the biggest thing that they notice, and Charlie Fagenholtz talks about this, is it feels like you have taken off a coat that you didn't know you had on. And it's like removing some of this weight that you've just been carrying for so long. And you're able to release that so your body can start to, again, lower the toxin bucket so it can function or start to function as it needs to.
Phew, mind blown.
It's pretty crazy. And in chiropractic school, you learn how to adjust, you learn how to do soft tissue, rehab exercises, you get some lab work, just training in that. But truly, like if you are set out to help every single patient that you come across, you either have to think outside the box and learn these things yourself to help your patient population, or you need to know who to refer to so your patient gets the best care possible.
That is great. Have you seen any cases or heard of any cases of people with recurring infections that the root cause was maybe some trauma?
Totally. Yeah. So bladder is one of like the biggest reservoirs for emotional energy. And we get this from traditional Chinese medicine. And so a lot of people with like recurring bladder infections, urinary tract infections, the supplements, the antibiotics, the probiotics, all these things will take it to like 95% better, but they keep returning. And until we start to uncover some of those emotions that are stored in the bladder, they won't get to that 100% functioning. And that goes with other infections in the body, whether it's eczema. And we have done specific herbs and nutrients to help with that, or we've removed dairy, gluten, inflammatory foods that could be contributing to the skin lesions. Or another one, you work a lot with thyroid patients.
Yep.
And thyroid sits in the front of the neck. A lot of people who have a hard time speaking up, talking, it can metaphysically, so beyond just like physical effects on thyroid hormone and conversion and what it's telling the body that it's supposed to do. That metaphysical component, that tightness in the throats because they have been silent. They've been holding something back. They haven't spoken their truth. All of that can compound and affect the thyroid. There's a whole number of infections that can keep coming back until we truly get to the underlying issue and address it. And if we don't, you're going to keep seeing it come back. You're going to keep seeing it come back. It's the same thing with generational trauma and generational emotions, things that have happened generations before we were even born, that can be passed through family lineage. And so until someone heals that generational trauma, those generational wounds, it's going to keep on being passed down from generation to generation. And so it just shows how important this emotional aspect of dealing with the junk, figuring out what it is, and then dealing with it just has an effect on our health, and not only our health, but our kids, our grandkids, and further down the line.
That is so true. Wow. You've shared a wealth of information.
I mean, we could talk about this stuff for hours. Like I truly love this stuff. And it really starts to connect with patients that I'm working with, whether it's men or I'll see wives and their kids or their girlfriends. And I have these conversations with them and you can see like light bulbs go off. Like, oh, I didn't think that rejection from whenever was playing into my health today. Or I didn't even think to look at the products that I was using on my body and how that could be affecting the gut microbiome or could have these skin irritations. Or if someone, like I mentioned earlier with the plantar fasciitis pain, we've done all the mechanical stuff with dry needling, shockwave, adjusting. And if we look at it from multiple different lenses, maybe we address the bladder because of that meridian that runs through the plantar fasciitis. Or we ask these specific questions because we take time with our patients or clients. Like I said, those light bulbs start to go off and they realize that they're not crazy, that the symptoms that they've been experiencing, the struggles they've been having are real. They just needed someone to connect the dots for them or to listen to them or to give them a different approach to healing.
So what I'm hearing you say is if someone's got some crazy health issue that can't be resolved by doing all the right things, then it could be emotional and they should seek to heal it and reveal it that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else you want to share with the audience?
No, I think everything that we talked about, it was like drinking from a fire hose, like so much information. And I share all of this to give that one person listening who is so stuck and so down on themselves because they're doing all the right things. This is hopefully a glimmer of hope for them to, whether it's seeking me out or talking with you about it or going to church for the first time or journaling or just finding ways or creative outlets to help the body heal. Until people start to slow down and do these crucial things, they're just going to keep on spinning the wheel. And so I think it's so important for individuals to either go to therapy and talk about it or find a trusted brother or sister or find something or someone to work through these struggles with. Because like I said at the beginning, the enemy wants nothing more than for you to sit alone in your house, in your apartment, and to stay isolated. He's going to win then. But once we bring this stuff to light, once we bring these emotions out, once we talk about the parasites, once we talk about the sleep, we have that stronghold over the enemy. Not only is just physical health so important, it's a command in the Bible. I wrote this Bible verse down, which I love. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, and you have from God? You are not of your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. So that's just stewarding our bodies. We only get one body. You want to live to the max and really opening so many cans of worms here, but these are such good, like little nuggets. So many people on their deathbed, they regret not doing the things that would have given them 5 to 10 more years of life, taking care of their health, but more importantly, having the connection and taking the time to really invest in friendships and community to help walk through life. All the accolades, all the money, everything that you're achieving is going to die with you, but your legacy, how you impact people, how you help people heal is all going to be carried on. And that's where that fulfillment, that's where really taking care of your body and just surrendering, that's where it all is at.
Yeah. You cannot heal in isolation. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast. Where can people find you?
Yeah. So best place is Instagram. Pretty active there. It's just Dr. Tony Krohn. If you want to work with me, just send me a message and we'll get you a link. We can hop on a discovery call to see if we're even a good fit. I'm not for everyone. Some people don't want the prayer and the Christian aspect of it. And so if I'm not the best fit for you, and I'll be the first to recognize that and to say, hey, I don't think I can help you, but I know this person will be able to help you. And so let's hop on the discovery call. Let's have a conversation back and forth on Instagram to see how I can help you, if I can help you, and what the best next steps are for you.
That's awesome. I'll also include those links at the bottom of this episode. But again, thank you so much, Dr. Tony.
Yeah, thanks for having me.